Hey, Magic fans, welcome back. This is your captain speaking here on Capnclydes MTG. I'm still 12 hours ahead of you, and I'm probably up way earlier than you because, technically I'm a whole day ahead. But anyway, out that being said, still on vacation, still making some sweet videos, so don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Oh, reminder, almost forgot he did mention of this because I've been out in the wilderness. We got a giveaway coming up in October, so become a member now for your chance to get some free stuff. Any level of membership will work also. And links in the description to get yourself some cards. People have been asking about the cards from the videos. They're all on eBay, and I get them all on there posted for the most part. When I get back home, I'll post the rest. But with all that being said, let's get a head look at Duskmourn. Probably one of the best horror expansions, at least that's what people are saying now. So we're going to start out today with a new room. We have the Funeral Room for a black and 2. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Sweet for the Aristocrats decks out there. And then also we have Awakening Hall, 2 black and 6. When you unlock this door, return all creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. This looks like a sweet mythic and has Commander wrote all over it. So expect this bad boy to start popping off in your local Commander environment. And to be fair, you might see a little play outside of Commander, but at 8 mana, probably not. But then again, I've seen Stranger. Next, we have the Ghostly Keybearer. Blue and 3 for this 3/3 flyer. Pretty good rate. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, unlock a locked door of up to 1 target room you control. Holy shnikey. Did that first card just become a lot easier to play? I think it did. You play it for 3, play this for 4, and if your opponent don't kill it or block it, you're unlocking the 1 for 8, and it's going to be game on from there. So this looks like it's going to be a popular card. In limited, maybe standard, definitely commander. So keep an eye out, all you spirit player out there. This may be your next big spirit. Next, we have a new Leyline of Transformation. 2 blue and 2. If Leyline's in your hand at the beginning of the game, you get to put it in the battlefield like all Leylines. When it enters, you choose a creature type. Creatures you control are the chosen type in addition to their other types. Same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. Very interesting. Kind of like a kindred spirit that gets to be put into play for free, kind of, sort of. But this could cause some big combos when creatures entering the battlefield get triggers off of similar or other creature types. This could be pretty big. Will it see standard play? Don't know. But if it does, it's going to be some serious shenanigans. Next, we have coming in the Fear of Imposters. A lot of fear in this set. Imagine that. 2 blue and 1 for a 3/2 flash creature. When it enters, counter target spell, its controller manifests Dread. For those of you who don't remember, manifesting Dread means that player looks at the top 2 cards, puts one of them into play as a 2/2 creature face down. That can be flipped up for its mana cost. The other one goes into the graveyard. So, is this good? Most definitely. Could it become bad? Also, most definitely. However, if you need to counter something, this is probably your best option. And to be fair, you get a 3/2 with legs. 3/2 with legs? 3/2s have legs. I mean, a counter spell with legs. And that is always a good thing in control decks. So, definitely a limited all-star. Might see a little play in Commander. Hell, this is weird enough that it might see standard play. Because if they can flip it up, there's a good chance that you weren't going to counter it to start with if it's really that big. So, And the odds are they're probably going to miss. So, I mean, this just seems good. Yeah, this just seems good. So moving on. Next, we have a Patchwork Beastie. It is a 1 green 3/3. Hello. It can't attack or block, though, unless there are 4 more card types among cards in your graveyard. Delirium, that is. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may mill a card. Hey, look at that. This is going to be a great card for limited and constructed kind of format, or limited constructed formats, because there's lots of cards for 1 green that lets you go fetch a land, so forth and so on. You can very easily fill your graveyard up to make a 3/3 for 1 green. And also, too, a 3/3 for 1 green is just good. I'm sure this is going to see play somewhere, and it's maybe good enough for standard, depending on what kind of cards we have in green-ish decks or green/X color that can be put into the graveyard fast, quick, and in a hurry. Next, we have the Swarm Weaver. Green, black, and 2 for a 2/3. Whenever it enters, you create 2 1/1 black and green insect creature tokens with flying. Already good. 4 mana for 4/5 in power, 2 of it flying. Delirium, as long as there are 4 more cards of the types, and blah, blah, blah. Insects and spiders you control have +1/+1, and Death Touch. This is probably good enough for standard. Why do I say that? Because Death Touch alone is good enough for standard. And if you're making, hear me out, a 2/3 that makes 2 1/1 flying Death Touchers, you're probably not going to get hit by a lot of shit. And if you're already in an insect deck, I mean, more do you want in life? Next, we have another Leyline, the Leyline of Resonance. This one's 2 red and 2. Comes in the battlefield if it's in your opening hand for free, yada, yada, yada. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets only a single creature you control, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for it. Very interesting. Also, very good. It's really going to depend on the kind of decks that are out there floating around currently. There's not a lot of combo decks that target creatures, but there are a few. One of them that comes to mind that I always thought was funny was the Is It deck with that red-blue morph changeling thing that gets counters every time you eat a spell. So, like, if you try to bolt it, you can bolt it once, copy it with this, try to bolt it again, eat the spell off the stack, the thing becomes huge, yada, yada, yakety schmackety. Not saying it's a good deck, but it's seen play, and it has won before. So, moving on. Next, we have Hushwood Verge. So this is our land cycle, everybody. It is tap for a green, rare, and it will tap for a white only if you control a forest or a plain. So as long as you have one or the other, this is a dual land. And to be fair, if you're playing green-white, you probably have one of these in play. And if you don't, it's not like it comes into play tapped. It's still technically a forest, so therefore you can count it as a forest as a mana source. Because you'll need more white sources, but once you get a white in play, this becomes both. Yada, 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 but you get the point. It's mainly just a green source. Now, the downside to this is you can't fetch for it. It's not a basic or anything like that. It's not a dual land. But that's fine. Every land that comes out from the land cycles don't have to be powerhouses. And if this is our land cycle for Duskmourn, it's actually pretty good. And you're probably going to start seeing these cards turn up in Commander and other deck formats, 1 or 2 ofs, especially in places where there's shock lands and dual lands, because this thing's just going to always tap for 2. And if you're curious, here's what the other 4 look like. Again, very pretty, very nice. I like them all. We only have 5 so far. Will we have all 10 in the cycle? We don't know yet, but we have at least these 5. So wait and see if there's more to come. Next, we have Drag to the Roots. Great removal spell, black and green and 2. Destroy target non-land permanent. It kills everything. If you have Delirium, it's literally 2 less mana, which means for a black and a green, you can Abrupt Decay anything. This is really good. This is probably not going to see standard play per se, but it might, depending on how the deck operates. If it's a deck that has lots of stuff going in the graveyard constantly, this is going to be prime removal. So yeah, it's an uncommon. It's great for limited. Keep an eye out for it. Next, we have Grievous Wound. 2 black and 3 colors for an enchantment aura. We got enchant player cards again. Enchanted player can't gain life. Whenever enchanted player is dealt damage, they lose half their life, rounded up. So, seems good. I'm going to Grievous Wound you. You're at 20. I'm now going to Gut Shot you. I'm going to pay 2 life. You're going to lose 10. Yeah, going to be something special. We'll make it a little harder to kill somebody because, if they're at 10 and you deal 10 damage to them, they technically lose 5. That's going to be weird. But hey, you take what you can get, right? Next, we have Inquisitive Glimmer. So, a blue-white 2/3 creature that enchantment spells you control cost 1 less to cast, and unlock costs you 1 less as well. That's unlocking doors, by the way. Um, this works well in the enchantment decks plus door decks, which doors are enchantments. There may be a new style of enchantment deck to be made with doors and this Glimmer and other regular enchantment stuff coming to Commander near you. Next, we have Pyroclasm. That's right, it's an oldie but a goodie. They reprinted it in Standard, red and 1, 2 damage to each creature. I mean, does this mean red's the color of the play because we just got the best board wipe that there is in the land? I mean, arguably could be better than Wrath of God. I'm just saying. But hey, who am I? All right, moving on. Next, we have Shard Mage's Rescue, 1 white, enchantment orb with flash. As long as the rescue entered this turn, enchanted creature has hexproof. The enchanted creature also gets +1/+1. So this is probably going to be one of the best Save the Queen deck cards because not only does it give hexproof, but it doesn't go away and it gives the creature +1/+1. So great for limited, gonna be great for standard, great for any deck playing white who wants some protection spells. Period. Next we have Volgath's Faithful. God, I can't say that name. 1 black for a 1/1 human cleric that apparently. Oh, there's a head there. Oh, okay, never mind. Look at the picture wrong. I thought it was a headless. Never mind. Anyway, moving on. Black and 3, sacrifice it. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. This is fine. I mean, it's good early game. 4 mana late game is cheaper than normal, but you need to do it in 1 turn. A 1 black plus a black and 3, that's 5 mana. That is the going rate for Reanimate, so it's fine. Next, we have Overlord of the Flood Pits. 2 blue and 3 for this mythic. It's a 5/3 with flying. It also has Impending, which means that for a blue and 1, it comes in with 4 counters on it, and at the end of your end step, or I'm sorry, at the beginning of your end step, you remove a counter from it, and it's not a creature until all the counters are gone if you use Impending. If not, for 5 mana, you get a 5/3 flyer that whenever it enters or attacks, draw 2 cards, then discard a card. So, interesting thing about that, whether you impend it or not, you get that ability. So, you can impend it for 3, draw 2, discard 1, and then have a creature later. This is an amazing card for Standard and any other format that likes to use 3 mana draw cards in blue. I mean, because what are they going to do? Kill it before it becomes a 5/3 to kill them? Probably. But guess what? You've drawn 2 and discarded 1. They've used a card to kill this. You are way ahead. And that's what it's all about when it comes to card advantage. So I think these cards like this that have Impending with Enter the Battlefield effects are going to be sweet. Because let's not forget, if they don't kill it and you get to swing with it, you get to draw 2 and discard 1 again. Which then it's just going to get out of control. Next, we have a new room. We have the Central Elevator for a blue and 3. When you unlock this door, search your library for a room card that doesn't have the same name as a room you control. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. And then finally, we have the Promising Stairs for blue and 2. At the beginning of your upkeep, surveil 1. If you win the game, you win the game if there are 8 or more different names among unlocked doors of rooms you control. So, basically, if you get 4 room cards in play, unlock all the doors, game's over. I mean, alternative game-winning conditions are fine, but this is going to be weird. I mean, we just looked at the blue-white card that makes rooms 1 cheaper to unlock. And these aren't like legendary or nothing. So, they do have to have different names, but, I mean, come on. Some of these are so good you'd want to play for, and you'll get to the rest of them because they help you draw cards or whatever. So, going to be interesting to see if this becomes a standard deck. And even more interesting to see if someone makes a weird-ass commander deck out of this. Next, we have the Ghost Vacuum because it just sucks. Giggity. Anyway, 1 colorless, tap, exile target card from a graveyard. Get it? Ghost Vacuum, exile. Anyway, moving on. For 6 colorless and tapping, you can sacrifice a vacuum. Put a creature card, exile with Ghost Vacuum, onto the battlefield under your control with a flying counter on it. Each of them is a 1/1 spirit in addition to its other types. Activate only as a sorcery. So, you can put this into play on turn 1, and as you kill things, start putting stuff in the vacuum. And then when you get to 6 mana, as a sorcery, you can just tap this, and all of a sudden you have a battlefield that you can kill your opponent with. Because why kill them with your stuff when you can just kill them with theirs? So next we have Nico, Light of Hope. Ugh. So this is a blue, white, and 2 planeswalker for 3/4. When it enters, create 2 shard tokens. I was never fond of this whole shard token thing. For 2 colors and tap, exile target non-legendary creature you control. Shards you control becomes copies of it until the beginning of the next end step. Return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So, I mean, this can be good. It has to be a non-legendary creature, plus this has to be on the field, plus you have to have shards. And this doesn't give you a way to get any extra shards. At least not yet. This seems like a whole lot of work for little to no payoff. And if I'm playing blue-white, I could think of a lot better ways to kill somebody. However, probably not as aggravating or thought-intensive, I guess. But hey, you do you, I guess. I mean, he's a mythic. Next, we have Victor Volgov's. What the? Secessional? So we have a human warlock. Black, white, and 1 for this 3/3. It has Eerie, so whenever an enchantment you control enters or whenever you fully unlock a room, surveil 2. If this is the first time this ability has resolved this turn, if it's the second time, each opponent discards a card. If it's the third time, put a creature card from your graveyard onto the battlefield. So this seems good, but let's remember, whenever an enchantment you control enters, and whenever you fully unlock a room, which means both doors are open, or you make a room, which is just an enchantment. That's good to get something back from the graveyard, but this is going to involve you having lots of rooms, not lots of creatures. So maybe an issue. However, fine for limited, because 3 mana 3/3 is just fine with a bonus. Yeah. I mean, it's okay. It's going to be really good and limited, but I really don't see it going anywhere else. Next, we have Altanka, the thrice called. 2 green and 5 for an insect beast. 9/9 trampler. Good lord. Whenever it becomes target of spell or ability an opponent controls, you get to draw a card. For a green and 1, you can discard it. Return target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. That's cool. I mean, it's an uncommon. It's fine for limited. I'm sure in limited there's gonna be some weird shenanigans where you discard it early, get back your lands, and then use your black stuff. Put this in play on turn 5, and your opponent gets upset as you proceed to beat them in the face in 3 turns and kill them. But hey, that's limited, right? Next we have Say Its Name. Say my name. Sorry. Green and 1, sorcery, mill 3 cards. You may return a creature or land card from your graveyard to your hand. I like how it's from your graveyard, not the 3 you mill. So already good. Exile this card and 2 other cards named Say Its Name from your graveyard. Search your graveyard, hand, and or library for a card name. Oh, the thing we just looked at. And put it onto the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle, activate onto sorcery. So, yeah, if you're in limited and you're playing the Thriceborn and you manage to get 3 of these things, it's going to be game on. Also, this very well could be a standard deck because if you mill Say Its Name into the graveyard, that's okay. That's where you want it. That way, as it says at the bottom, exile this card and 2 others. So if you do it the first time, and you mill 2 other ones, you literally can get the Thriceborn on turn 2, I think. Jesus Christ, that's scary. God, that's disgusting. Ugh. Anyway, moving on. Oh my god. Let's hope that's not the case, but I'm sure it probably is. Ethereal Armor reprint. Look at this little fella. So 1 white enchant creature, +1/+1 for each enchantment you control and has first strike. This was a powerhouse in standard before, modern, pioneer, you name it. And it's going to be a powerhouse in standard again because nothing beats a card that gives all your creatures +1/+1 in a giant enchantment deck. Just house. This thing is going to be huge in standard. So here it comes. Next, we have Meat Hook Massacre 2. That's right. There was rumors this was coming back, and here it is. But this time, it is 4 black and XX. When it enters, each player sacrifices X creatures. Whenever a creature you control dies, you may pay 3 life. If you do, return that card under your control with a finality counter on it. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you may pay 3 life. If they may pay 3 life. If they don't, return that card under your control with a finality counter on it. So personally, I don't really care to cast this for 6. I want to cast it for 4, just get it on the damn battlefield. Because this thing is busted. This is going to be in every commander deck. It's going to see standard play. It's going to be just like before with the previous Meat Hook Massacre. It's going to be a house, and it's probably going to be $20, $25, $30 at least until it's banned again. Next, we have Leyline of the Void reprint. Look at that. Didn't make a new black one, but we get the old Faithful. 2 black and 2. If it's in your hand at the beginning of the game, put it straight into play. The card will be put into the opponent's graveyard from anywhere you get to exile it. Good way to stop the Meat Hook Massacre. But anyway. And then we have Tyvar the Pummeler, because what would be good in a horror deck? An elf with a bat who likes to beat shit. Anyway, 2 green and 1 for a 3/3 tap. Another untapped creature you control. Tyvar the Pummeler gains indestructible to end of turn. Tap it. Well, that's house built-in protection there. 2 green and 3 creatures you control get +X in a turn, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control, and a built-in overrun minus the trample. But at this point, I don't think it really matters. This looks like a powerhouse of a Tyvar. Luckily, it is legendary. Only one of these things can be on the field at a time, thank God. But as an elf warrior, we may see some elf decks popping up, or maybe even see this get put into a couple elf decks. Because, let's be fair, sometimes you just can't find Crater's Hoof Behemoth, and you just need to do it the old-fashioned way and just make a whole bunch of elves and mana and just go ham. Because this thing's going to give you +3/+3 and probably into the game. Because elves. Next, we have Slavering Branch Snapper. Slavering. I think it's making up words now. Anyway, 2 green and 4 for a 7/6 lizard that tramples and has forest cycling. God, is this good for a common. It's great for forest cycling. It's also great for the simple fact that it's a 7/6 with trampler for 6. I mean, Living Index would really like more cards like this. Just kind of saying. I mean, because what's better than putting creatures on the battlefield for free than big fat ones that have trample that can't be blocked? So, yeah. Next, we have Acrobatic Cheerleader. Because no horror movie would be complete without a cheerleader to be killed. Just saying. White 1 and for a 2/2 survivor. Cheerleader survivor. Not. Anyway, at survival, at the beginning of your second main phase, if the cheerleader is tapped, put a flying counter on it. The ability triggers only once. So early game, you can make this a 2/2 flyer if they don't have anything to block with, or don't have something to block with that's big enough to kill it, which makes this probably one of the best commons in the set, not going to lie, especially in limited. So call it goofy, call it weird, call it cliche, call it what would never happen because cheerleaders never survive horror movies. But a 2/2 flyer on turn 2 is really good in white. Next, we have Shepherding Spirits, 2 white and 4 for a 4/5 flyer, plain cycling 2 colorless. More cards for living in. God, you gotta love it. Just gotta love it. Gonna be great in limited too. I forgot to mention that. Moving on. Next, we have Stay Hidden, Stay Silent. 1 blue and a colorless enchant creature. Whenever it enters, tap the enchanted creature. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. For 2 blue and 4, shuffle the enchanted creature into its owner's library. Then Manifest Dread. I mean, I don't see a reason why you need to shuffle it into their opponent's library unless it has some kind of static ability that was kicking your ass. But good to have the option. And this is your basic blue removal for limited. We have the Piranha Fly. A blue and 1 for a 2/1 flyer, and it enters tapped. I mean, does anybody care that it enters tapped? It's a 2/1 flyer for 2. It's in blue. Like, the color that doesn't have creatures. Like, this is insanely good. Just 6 of these in a limited deck, game over. Just you win. Anyway, I mean, he can still block. He just comes into play tapped. This is amazingly good for a common. Do I need to say it again? No? Good. Okay, moving on. Next, we have Grasping Long Neck. That's what she said. Anyway, green and 2 for a 4-2 with reach. Whenever it dies, you gain 2 life. Well, this is actually pretty sweet for limited. 4-2 with reach lets you block and kill damn near anything. Or just get in there if they got nothing going on turn 4 or 5. And if it dies, I mean, you're probably going to kill something since it's got 4 on the power. You're going to also gain 2 life. So, pretty sweet. Next, we have Turn Inside Out. That's disgusting. All right, 1 red instant. Target creature gets +3/+0 to end a turn. When it dies this turn, manifest dread. This is the best combat trick. This is better than. Oh my god, I just lost the set. The mage set. Anyway, point being, you purposely send in a creature, or they attack you. You make your creature that's a 1/1 or a 2/1, a 5 something. Kill their creature. You get the manifest dread. The world is right. You've killed their threat. Your threat is dead. You lost 1 card in your hand, but you get to put a card from one of the 2 on top of your library into the battlefield, and then maybe flip it upside down and inside out to make it a real creature, and then proceed to shift the table as you beat them down with your new creature. I'm still blanking on that set. I'll think of it here in a minute. Anyway, moving on. Clockwork Percussionist. So I'm impressed with this card. 1 red, haste, 1/1 common. When it dies, exile a top card of your library and you play it till the end of your next turn. This is also an artifact. It's a creature. It's 1 red. It has haste. It lets you draw a card, basically. This is probably my #1 pick, if I had to guess so far, for new Pauper cards. Because this is just insane. It slices, it dices, it makes julienne fries. It does everything you want in a Pauper deck. It's cheap, it's easy, it draws, replaces itself. There's so much going on here. Plus, it's an artifact for all those artifact-centric builds, like Affinity. Anyway, this is so good. Now, in normal formats, not outside of Pauper, it's just okay. It's great and limited, draw a card, whatever. Could be good for Red Rush and Standard. Might be a thing. Because of the whole ability to, again, reveal cards, draw cards, so forth, so on, have haste. It's going to be interesting to see where it falls, but this could be very popular, so if I was you, pick up some foils while they're cheap. Next, we have the Fanatic of the Harrowing, black and 3 for a 2/2. Whenever it enters, each player discards a card. If you discard it this way, you get to draw a card. So this is pretty sweet. Not only is it filtering for you, but disadvantage for your opponent, plus you get a 2/2 creature. It's got it all. Card advantage, legs, good stuff, especially coming from black. Moving on. Next, we have this little sweetie, the Overlord of Boiler Bilge. Boiler Bilge? Anyway. 2 red and 4 Avatar Horror. Not legendary. 6 mana, 5/5. Has impending of 2 red and 2. Again, comes into play with 4 counters on it, and at the end of every end step, remove a counter. Once the counters are removed, this monstrosity becomes a real creature. And whenever it enters or attacks, it deals 4 damage to any target. So, 6 mana to deal 4 damage to any target. That includes your opponent. This is kind of like a fixed. Well, I'll be honest with you. This is just Inferno Titan. Like, I think it's the same cost, too. Except you could put it in play on turn 4, and it would actually become a real creature a couple turns later instead of turn 6. But when it comes in, it deals 4. When you swing, it deals 4, not 3. It's not a Bolt Titan. It's a 4 damage Titan. Whatever spell does 4 damage to anything. I don't know. Amazing. Also, love the border and frame on this. Sweet God, let us have this, not just the other countries. This is going to be an amazing card. It has amazing art. And if we start getting overlords like this for every color, it's almost going to be like the new Titan set. Or Titan Cycle, I guess, for this set. Strixhaven. That's the one I was thinking of. Okay, got there. Anyway, moving on. So, with all that said, guys, thanks a lot for watching. I'll be home soon. Well, not really, probably next week, but still thinking of you guys out here. So until next time, be kind, and as always, I hope to see you across from the game table.